Oh, you good, see it? Doing all right?
I see what's wrong with that foundation. Yeah, but not terrible city stuff. Well, that's what
Can I have everybody's attention, please? I'd like to call the meeting to order. I know everybody's just went through the 4th of July, and I hope everybody had a really nice 4th of July and enjoyed it with friends and family. I'm just proud to say that I'm glad to be a member of the greatest country in the world, the greatest state in the world, and the greatest county in the world. I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And Betsy Ligon, will you lead us in, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Minutes. Did everybody receive their minutes? Is everybody paid up on their dues? Because it's already 7 months behind. And I heard somebody talking that they owe, but we'll let them slide and charge them a little bit extra. But the dues were due in January, so if you haven't paid them, see Miss Betty and she'll take them up and give you a card. Minutes. Has everybody received their minutes? If you haven't, will you raise your hand? And if you're a member, you should either receive your minutes through email or snail mail. So if you got an email account and would like to have your minutes transferred over to email instead of having it mailed to you, which helps out everybody, and it saves money for the Historic Society, especially with the rate of postage. But if you haven't received your minutes, talk to Vanetta and we'll get it straightened out. Is there any changes to the minutes that anybody would like to make, or any comments on the minutes?
Make a motion
To accept. All right. Alan makes it. Okay. Melissa seconds. Everybody in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. It's going good tonight. Miss Betty, would you do a financial report for us?
The last financial report we had was in April, and the balance then in our checking account was $3,677.59. I have deposited $895.91. Our expenses were $515.07, leaving a balance in the checking of $4,058.43. The income was $245 for books, $150 for dues, a $500 donation from the county, and 91 cents in interest. Our expenses, we donated $100 for the academic banquet. I paid our multi-peril insurance, which was $368, and I had to buy some more mail labels for $47.04. The balance in that account is $4,058.43. In our memorial account, which is where the bricks are, our balance in there is $1,702.91. Our certificate of deposit is $10,610 even.
Okay, thank you, Miss Betty. I got some old business I need to take care of, and I hope I don't get tarred and feathered, but I kind of contacted some of the board members, but we've been some of the members have been to the Bronson Hollister house. There's a Friends of the Bronson Hollister house, and they're trying to raise some money to start the process of seeing about accumulating the house, or finding a group that will accumulate the house. So I made a motion with the board members about donating $100 to that, but I'd like to present it to the Historic Society, make sure it's okay, and we'll take a vote on it just to make it legal. And what it was is we're going to donate $100 to the Friends of the Bronson Hollister house for helping them and supporting them on getting the house. And if nobody's really aware of what this project is, they're going to have a meeting Friday at 5:30 at the library. And Melissa, you know a little bit more about that, would you? Would you like to tell us?
Well, it's just the Friends of the Bronson Hollister House is a group of people that are actually takes up 3 counties: Stewart County, Houston County, Montgomery County, that are come together. And our purpose is really just to save the house. If there is a group out there or an individual that would like to step forward and talk with TVA and acquire the house themselves, we're all for that. If it ends up that our group has to take that on, we're preparing ourselves for that. It's not that we want to do it, we just want the house to be saved. I mean, we don't think it's in danger of destruction any longer. However, TVA is looking for someone to take this house. It is, yes.
Has TVA set a price on it?
No, ma'am. I believe the last communication we had, they called and asked our group if we were going to bid, which I understand now it's going to go to an auction, but I don't think it's going to be like a typical auction from what I understand. And so it's all still in process, but that's what the meetings are about. I'm on the board of directors of the Friends, and so we are just meeting. We are in the process of giving our 501c3 and our charter for our group, because that will have to be in place if we are the group that ends up with it. And so we don't know. TVA, of course, is slow, but we're still there and we're still talking. And so, but like I said, if there is another group out there or an individual, we are just whoever step forward. We just don't want it to get into the wrong hands or to be destroyed.
Melissa, does
Yes.
anybody know how much land TVA is going to auction?
Right now, it's the house. Our last, what we know, is the house of 4.75 acres.
Okay, it's not the whole pasture land.
No. That includes the cemetery behind the house, but not the African American cemetery. Of course, it's not marked, but right now we're not interested in asking for a ton of property. We're interested in the house. If that comes later, that comes later. Right now, we're just trying to save the house. And so the process is still ongoing, and there's a meeting Friday at 5:30 at the library if anyone would like to come and listen, be a part of, or whatever. Like I said, we have a board of directors. There's people on the board that are from Houston County, Montgomery County, and Stewart County. Stewart County Historical Society is not interested in getting involved in taking the house, so they're very pleased because it's in their county. They're very pleased to see our group together, and they're pleased to see Houston County involved. They're not, you know, they don't have any hard feelings towards us being involved.
They want us to totally be involved in
Yeah.
it, and they donated $100 to
They
the,
did.
to the Friends of the Bronson
I
Hall.
can tell you that Robin Freeman, who's the president of our group, she has applied for, I can't remember if it was the charter or 501c3. She got something in the mail that she actually paid $100 of her own money to do that.
But she don't want to start the banking account until she gets a 503.
Right.
So,
But if you're interested in it and you want to come to the meetings, the next one is this Friday at 5:30 at the library.
and there's a lot of history to the house if nobody's not familiar with it. So I have a couple of brochures on it, but Miss Finley wrote a nice history of the house there, and we shared that with everybody. And there's a website too, also, if you want to go in and read it on the updates or anything like that. So
I make a motion, we donate the $100.
Second.
I talked to Robin, and she said, not to send her the money till she heard from me, because right now they don't even have a bank account.
Okay. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so make the motion then. I got an announcement for a program change. I think we made it, and it might have been my error when I made up the schedule. For November, our program's going to be the third Tuesday instead of the second. So it'll be,
That's what I always had, was the 18th.
okay, so it'll be November the 18th,
Yeah.
and it'll be at here at City Hall at 7 o'clock.
No,
No?
the archives in November.
That's right. I'm sorry, I looked at it wrong. I looked at the one above it. Yeah,
Until
Melissa
we're
does
just-
her program.
Until we were just so full, we can't fit in there anymore.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
Yeah. But, no, that's what it'll be. Our meeting in November will be at Archives, and it'll be November the 18th at 7 o'clock.
And we'll do food. Food.
Yeah, we'll do food, which is always really, really good. I have a few people that want to make an announcement, and Sid McMillan, if you'd like to come up and do your announcement now.
Thank you, Jerry. Maybe soliciting something that I hope that I do not get. But the Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center in Nashville, in association with a group called Courage Unmasked, there's a program that Courage Unmasked, a 501c3 nonprofit group whose mission is to raise awareness about head and neck cancer. There are some here in our community that have been patients of that group, including me. It's to raise awareness about its prevention, the treatment, but however, the main goal is to raise funds through art to financially help patients in achieving their treatment goals. I have been asked by Bob Mead, who is the marketing director for the Mid-South, to donate the mask that I use. These masks are referred to as a immobile device while a patient is getting their cancer treatment. You're pretty well locked down. They make them by mesh that is a warm-like material they lay over you, and then form every feature of your face, head, neck, above, in my case, from collarbone up. So with the Vanderbilt Ingram Cancer Center and Mr. Mead has contacted those of us who have used these, and no longer, there are of no valuable purpose. But this group started several years ago, and it has really grown to include certain artists that will take these masks, and I have something that shows the mask itself, and some more literature. But an artist will take the mask and do what they see fit with it. Their own ideas, or according to the literature, with the input of the person that used it. Now, we all know that here in our Historical Society group, we've had a lady that passed away several years ago, or a few years ago. And I just found out that her husband has kept that mask, and he intends to make that available. Mine will be picked up tomorrow by a local artist here in Erie, Ms. Janet Phelps. And I'm looking forward, Janet, to maybe contributing or just talking about what we went through. But again, it's not something that I'm begging anyone for, because I really hope that no one has to use these devices. So my thing to you all is, if you know of anyone who has had head and neck cancer, and that covers a lot of territory, from your collarbone to the crown of your head, and everything inside. So if you know of anyone, my telephone number is listed in our local directory, and I do not have a cell phone that will work where I live. So use the landline, and if you would, get in touch with me. I'll always keep in touch with Bob Meade and others, and I'm proud to say that the encouragement and the support of Alan Campbell, thank you. So, if you find anybody that's unfortunate enough to have to use one of these and is willing to donate a mask, if they know of an artist that they would prefer to have work on it, that can be arranged, they can be donated, then there will be an auction and a show. There's one planned for September the 27th in Nashville that I intend to be attending to see what becomes of it. And not asking for donations from anybody or any group, but let it be known that something good is coming out of this treatment situation. The second thing that has come out good in cancer treatment, I no longer have cancer.
Thank you, sir. I need to step back for a minute. There's another $100 we need to discuss. It's for the football program. I didn't want to do it all in a row because I was afraid y'all might start tolerating me or something. The Lions Club football program, they asked us to take another ad out this year, and the price on it went up, but this year it includes us being advertised in the car show and a few other things that the Lions Club sponsors. And for a 1/3 page ad, they asked for $100, and I called a couple of people again. If you want me to call you, just let me know and I'll call you. But I called a couple of people, and kind of they had to have the okay on it. So I'd like to make a motion that we take out another ad this year. And, I'll make it. Thank you. Anybody second it?
I'll second it.
All right, everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So be it. Thank you, everybody. There's a couple other things. I'm sorry, I'm going to go long tonight. The Sweet Tea and Southern Arts. Could you tell us a little bit about it, Banana?
Sweet Tea and Southern Art is a showcase for local artists. It's this week. It starts on Friday. It's at Shamrocks and Shenanigans. It's going to be Friday, Saturday from 10 until 4, and then on Sunday from 1 until 4. It's a free show. We've got 35 artists represented this year. At last month's meeting in Dover, I took some applications and gave out 6 of them. I've had 5 of them come back to us. So we've got people from Dover, Dixon, Waverly, Cunningham, we didn't quite get to Clarksville, but a lot of Houston County, hidden talent in Houston County. Susan Wilshire is not hidden talent, but Susan will be displaying. The only award given is the Viewer's Choice Award. When you come, you'll be given a slip of paper to vote for your favorite. And Bobby McKenna, you can vote 3 times. We have the adult category and the youth category. Whoever gets the most votes will get the one award. The second and third place will get a little honorable mention. But last year's Viewer's Choice was our own Janet Phelps. She got the Viewer's Choice Award. So y'all come by. The award is given, we add up the votes from Friday and Saturday. So Sunday after church, go to dinner, come see who got the awards.
Ms. Benetta, before you sit down, would you tell us about the fish fry?
Okay, Bethesda, the Bethesda Mission, as some of you may know, has been going through a building renovation, totally separate from the food bank and emergency assistance fund. Brother Neil is wonderful. He has been trying to raise money to do this renovation, which is increase our capacity not only in his office, but in the food room. We'll have lots more room to work around. But we're short money. And the Brewer Bunch Sunday School class at Erin Methodist Church is putting on a fish fry next Friday night at Bethesda. It's $10 for the tickets, and you have to have a ticket to get fish. It's from 4, Alan ought to be doing this.
4 to 7.
4 to 7.
Not this Friday.
The 19th. 4 to 7.
That's a Saturday.
Saturday night, in the afternoon.
It is, okay, see, Alan said
47.
that.
Well, the Brewer Bunch, and we're named after Tom Brewer, so we have a great name. But the Brewer Bunch is, and we have some good cooks in the bunch. Mitchell Smithy is a very good catfish cook, so we're going to have catfish. But we have participated with Brother Neil and with the Bethesda and another endeavors, and this is another endeavor, and we're going to do a fish fry. It'll help with the fundraising for this edition. We haven't been, and it's also going to be in conjunction with an open house.
Right, open house.
So they're going to have an open house. We're going to do a little show and tell on the new edition. So tickets are $10. The boxes it'll be places to go. We are concerned about Saturday and outside and the heat and such. So there'll be places where you can sit and eat for the most part. But just get it and go. And you go into the reception. You want to take a look at it, the open house, grab you some fish, and go home.
And we're making tickets.
I just happen to have it. You beat me to it. I have to have 10. But the tickets are available. You'll see the Brewer Bunch. We'll be around there a lot. Of course, you can buy them there. I mean, when you say you have to have a ticket, you just have to have a ticket before you buy it. You buy them on site. But we'll be glad to.
Yeah, David brought some by the missions of addition.
But it's a great cause. And enjoy participating by having good catfish.
Okay, thank you. It's been a busy month, so I got one more thing I'd like to see if, Miss Betty, would you let us know about the political forum that they're going to have? Or is somebody more qualified to tell us about where it's going to?
The what?
Political forum.
Political forum.
Oh, the political forum. It will be this Saturday at the courthouse in the courtroom, beginning at 2 o'clock. And I've mailed out 73 envelopes. 34 have replied. They are allowed 2 minutes for their platform and 3 minutes for questions and answers. And Mr. Clark was very nice in letting us use that because it's supposed to be 93 degrees and maybe raining. And we don't want that out on the square, that's a little hot, so we'll be up there where it's air conditioned. And everybody's invited to the political forum to hear the ones, mostly it's the ones that have opposition. We have 1 or 2 that don't have any opposition, but they said they just wanted to speak to people.
Thank you, Ms. Betty.
Alan McCampbell will be introducing them, and Harry Bateman is our timekeeper.
Melissa, I haven't forgotten about you. Would you tell us about the progress of the archives? Yes.
Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Melissa Barker. I'm the Houston County Archivist, and I usually try to give an update when we have our meetings. Archivist is going well. Our second storage site up at the old jail, we've got all of our shelving in and put together, and so now we're ready to just move records from upstairs to downstairs. We've been recently working on the Houston County Historical Society meeting minutes. Over since 1983, when the society was formed, minutes have been done every meeting, and they've been saved. Some of them are handwritten, some of them are typed. And so we have processed those, and now we are indexing them. This is an example of the index. It's by date, and then I also listed what occurred at each meeting. That way, if someone's looking for something, some piece of information, it's easy to find. So we will have that in the archives. I'm up to 1999. I got to go all the way to today, but I'm up to 1999. So it's been very interesting to read the handwritten notes and things of all the various secretaries over the years. An exciting thing that we received this last couple of weeks, as you know, Patsy Mullins retired from the Board of Education. And before she retired, she brought to the archives the old deeds that they have to all the old schools that were in the county, such as the Yellow Creek School, the Pollard School, Bateman Branch, the old high school. And so we now have these in the archives, and just to show you one, this one, I think this is the Tennessee Ridge School. That's just one. And some of these deeds are in pretty poor shape, so we're going to have to do some restoration on them, and some of them are in pretty good shape like this one. But the school board felt that they would do better to be in the archives. So we have those now. So
Is that the deed?
These are deeds to all the old little schools and all the communities. We have Stewart, let's see,
Okay. from
Griffin's Chapel.
Tennessee Ridge,
Mm-hmm.
before we meet next month,
Mm-hmm.
see who they bought it from.
Okay, I can tell you. So you can look at it.
The Scandinavians built that school.
She does have one note on here about, she said this deed is possibly the Ellis Mill School. She says
Now, I'm
that-
on Tennessee Ridge.
right, but I'm asking this question. Yeah, I'll look for that
Ellis
one.
Mill School.
Well, this is what Patsy Mullins wrote on this envelope. She says, this possibly would be the deed for the Ellis Mill School. The Dorches were a black family. Some members may know for sure this is priceless.
Okay,
I don't know
that-
about that.
School, that was.
Was it?
Uh-huh.
She wasn't sure, so she wrote me a note.
That's a black school, I think, because the white school was named Salem.
Yeah, for Salem. But anyway, so if you see Patsy, please thank her for donating these to the archives. And we're very, very grateful to have these, and they'll be kept and preserved forever. So, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Is there anything else anybody would like to bring up before we start the program tonight? Well, all right, and without further ado, I'd like to introduce Donald and Jackie Bateman, and I'd like to hear their story on the wildflowers that they have. I couldn't go on up.
Y'all would all be asleep if I talked about our wildlife.
I don't expect you to have time to talk about all of them.
I have a handout with the names of all the flowers that we're going to see pictures of tonight. And it's got the scientific name, the bloom date, the origin, whether it's native or introduced to the area, and whether it was used as food or medicine. So y'all kind of. And on the back are the references that we used. As members of the Houston County Historical Society, y'all are all aware that in the 1800s, settlers came to what is now Houston County. And before that, this area was the hunting ground for several Indian tribes. And since there was no Clegger's Piggly Wiggly to buy food or Beecham's Drug Company to buy medicine, people used what they had, and their most reliable resource was Mother Nature. But they needed a way to identify the plants that they used as food or medicine. And that's where the wildflowers come in. The wildflowers were nature's labels. Most of the wildflowers you see here today in Houston County are perennials. That means that they come back year after year. So their bloodlines go back hundreds of years. And the wildflowers you see in Houston County are the same ones that our ancestors enjoyed. They were either native to this area or introduced to this area by our ancestors. You might say their families have been there longer than most of ours. All the pictures you see tonight were taken in Houston County. They were taken along Brigham Branch in the Denmark Road, Bateman Farm area, or in the Stanfield Lane area of Yellow Creek. And these selections were certainly not all the wildflowers you'll see in Houston County, but they should cover most of the common ones. First one is the bloodroot. It's one of the first wildflowers to bloom in the spring. It's named for the red-orange sap which comes from the root, which was used by early settlers as a dye for clothing and baskets. Native Americans also used it as body paint. In modern times, Colgate has put it in their toothpaste. And then there's ongoing research today into cancer-fighting properties. It blooms in early March, or late March, early April. And it depends on the weather when it starts blooming, and it may vary within a 2-week period. And it'll generally bloom for about 2 weeks, and it'll cover the whole hillside. You'll see where the little white blooms just perk up and put on a real display over the hills. And as the bloodroots start to fade, then the trout lily will start to bloom. You'll notice the trout lily here, and the leaves are what gives it its name because it's supposed to resemble a brown trout. And their folklore is that the Cherokee would chew the root and spit into the water to make the fish bite. It's also called the dogtooth violet because the underground mold resembles a dog's tooth. And it was used as an emetic. That means it makes you throw up. And it forms large colonies, some of which are over 100 years old. This is the Allegheny spurge. It blooms at the same time and in the same locations as the bloodroot and the trout lilies. This is the Virginia bluebell. You'll notice the bloodroot there beside it. The bloodroots are really fading out, and then the bluebells start putting on a show. They're very hardy. They've survived the major floods in 2010 and 2012 along Brigham Branch. You'll notice that the buds are pink, and when the flowers bloom, they turn a beautiful blue. Occasionally, you'll see a solid pink one, which is pretty rare. And you might also see a solid white one, which is rare as well. And this particular bunch of bluebells has been in the same location for close to 100 years. Donald's mother, Catherine Bateman, told of picking wildflowers with her friend Dolores Motley, who lived near this area when they were just children. This is the sweet fancy trillium. It's called trillium because everything's in groups of 3. You got 3 petals and 3 leaves. And there's 17 different trilliums in Tennessee, but this one is the most common in Houston County. It's also called birthroot because it was used to make a herbal tea, which was used during childbirth. When the red trilliums start to fade, you'll see the white trilliums start to show itself. It's also called bent trillium because the flower's on a stalk. Unlike the red trillium, which you see scattered out just one here and there, you'll see the white trilliums in a big group, and they'll just cover the hillside and be really pretty. This is the May apple. It's another early spring wildflower. And if you'll notice, the apple will start to bloom where the, or will start to form where the blossom is. The leaves and roots were poisonous, but they were often used as a laxative. The fruit was made into a jelly, though, with the lady. This is the eastern blue star, or dogbane. I saw it on TV recently, featured in a garden show where they're promoting native plants. But be very careful if you put it in your landscape because it is very poisonous. This is Jack in the Pulpit. Dom and I thought this was very rare because his Uncle Abe showed us one along Denmark Road before he died. And after he died, somebody come along and dug it up, and we were just outraged. And we thought that was the only one. Well, when we moved down here, we found out they're everywhere. So if the book says it's common, it probably is. The roots were dyed and aged and used to treat colds and coughs. If you'll notice the seed pod down here at the bottom, they turn red in the fall. And this is the Granddad Dragon. Charles Manning provided this excellent photo of the leaf pattern that you use to identify. They can get quite large, and they're pretty common along here. You can see where I'm standing there how tall that one is. And it's like Jack in the Pulpit. It has the seed pod that runs up, and those will turn bright red in the fall. That one was even bigger, but you can't really tell by just looking at the picture. But you'll notice there the stalk will fall over, and then the seeds will turn red. This is smooth Solomon seal. It was another food source for Native Americans. The little white flowers turn into little green berries, which will turn black as they mature. But it's got its name from the root. Where the leaf stalk breaks off from the root, there's a distinctive scar, and they thought it looked like Solomon's seal. But they did eat the root as food. This is Sweet William, and it wasn't cultivated in North America. This is the native phlox. But it wasn't cultivated in North America, but they exported it to Europe, and then they sent it back to us, and then we decided it was really nice. This is the shooting star. Deborah Stanfield was kind enough to share this beautiful picture with us of the wildflowers. It refers to the petal formation, which resembles a shooting star, and other names are Indian chief, rooster head, or mosquito bells. And when you view it from the top, you can see the star pattern of the petals. This is purple Paxilia. Bees love it. It makes great honey. It's also called scorpion weed due to the way those young flowers coil like a scorpion's tail at the end of the stem. This is the fire pink. It's also called catchfly because of the sticky hairs on the stem. And Deborah Stanfield also found this out at her place too. This is the Indian pink. It's also called worm grass, and it was used to treat worms or parasites, and because that was a huge problem in children back then. So as you can imagine, it's quite poisonous. This is the oxeye daisy. They're extremely common, but it's one of my favorites. They're very photogenic and there's no bad daisy pictures. It originated from Europe, and we've used the leaves as salad greens, and the blossoms have been made into wine. This is the wild potato vine. It's in the morning glory family, but it has an edible root, much like the sweet potato. And the roots became very large, and they were a good food source for Native Americans. And this next picture illustrates how careful they had to be, because this is the bindweed. Notice it does not have the red throat like the potato vine did, but this one's poisonous. This is, of course, is Queen Anne's lace. If you'll notice that little dark spot in the middle, that's where it gets its name. Legend has it that the queen was sewing lace and she pricked her finger, and the purple center flower is where she dropped blood on the lace. It's a native of Europe. It's called the wild carrot, which is its ancestor to our garden carrots. This is hemlock. All parts of this plant are extremely poisonous. It came from Europe, but it is now worldwide. It's believed an extract of the hemlock plant was used to execute Socrates in ancient Greece by causing respiratory paralysis. And even though it can be extremely toxic or even fatal, historically it's been used as a sedative and a pain reliever. And it contains the first alkaloid that was artificially manufactured in the lab. This is the Asiatic dayflower. It's also called the mouse flower, and it was introduced from Asia. The young leaves were eaten raw, but as it matured, they had to cook it because it got tough. This is the limestone wild petunia. This particular variety loves the limestone rock, so it's right at home here in Houston County. The flowers only last a day, but there's multiple blooms, so the bloom season lasts over a month. This is yarrow. It's also called bloodwort or nosebleed plant. It was used in the Civil War by doctors on both sides to help stop bleeding from shrapnel and bullet wounds. And there are historical references to this plant all the way back to the Trojan Wars. This is the white milkweed. It blooms late May, early June. It's a true milkweed, but it doesn't have the milky sap of most milkweeds. And this is the butterfly weed. It's a host plant for the monarch butterfly. And when the caterpillars feed on it, they get a chemical which makes birds sick if they eat them. So they soon learn to leave it alone. It's also called chiggerweed, or pleurisy root, because the Native Americans used it to treat lung ailments with pleurisy. This is swamp milkweed. It's another butterfly host. It's also called rose milkweed or Indian hemp. Native Americans would harvest the right plant and rub it to separate the fibers to use as fishing line or sewing thread. It was also used to treat asthma and diarrhea. Go figure. This is the touch-me-not. It's the mature seed pods. When you touch them, they scatter. And children didn't have a whole lot of toys, so they loved playing with these flowers, and they would use them in competitions. They would hook them together and try to jerk the heads off, see who had the strongest ones. The stem and the leaf sap was used to treat poison ivy and treat skin irritation. It's also called jewelweed. This is the ginseng weed. It was introduced from Asia. It's also called the thorn apple, and people have died from eating the fruit or the apple for its narcotic effect. And all parts of the plant are poisonous. Cattle and sheep have died as well. This is wild bergamot or wild bee balm. It's from the mint family. It's used as a tea. and is used to treat stomach aches. This is a picture of a dwarf iris that Deborah Stanfield provided. We think it's the vernal iris from her description of when it's bloomed and what size it was, because it was really small. If it is, it's quite rare to this area, because usually that one's seen on the Cumberland Plateau and eastward. And vernal means spring. This is the downy wood mint. It's the only native mint species here, and the leaves were used as flavoring. It's also called pagoda plant. This is the blackberry lily. They believe it came from China and escaped cultivation. The flower only lasts one day, but if you'll notice, there's multiple blooms that extends the bloom period. Then there's a seed that forms in a cluster that looks like blackberries. That's where it gets its name. This is the black-eyed Susan or yellow cone flower. Native Americans used it to treat indigestion, and it's also the state flower of Maryland. This is the Virginia spiderwort. The leaves were eaten raw when they were young and cooked as it matured. Native Americans made a tea to treat stomach ailments, and they also used the leaves as a poultice to treat bug bites and skin inflammation. This is beard tongue. It's a cousin of the foxglove, from which they get digitalis. It's a host plant for butterflies, but it's pollinated by bees. They crawl into that little tube to pollinate. This is the wild hydrangea. If you'll notice, the large flowers only appear around the perimeter of the flower, not like our plants that we see in garden centers today, where you have the big flowers all over the plant. The roots were used as pipe stems because they had a pleasant taste, and the Cherokee Indians used it to treat kidney stones. This is the bellflower. It was used to treat coughs and TB. This is the starry campion. In the 1800s, it was believed that it was an antidote to rattlesnake or copperhead bites. Donna and I found it interesting that there was a large colony not far from the house at his old home place, because he said there was a lot of copperheads there. This is wood sage, or American germander. It's been used since ancient times to heal sores or ulcers on the skin. And tea was also made to be used as a diuretic. And today you can find it commercially as pink skullcap. This is the passion flower. It's the state flower of Tennessee. It's been used since the 19th century to treat anxiety. It's got its name because they thought that it looked like the crown of thorns worn by Jesus. It's also a host plant for the fritillary butterflies. This is Joe Pye weed, or Queen of the Meadow. Joe Pye was a herb doctor in colonial times who used plants as medicine. And this particular one was widely used to treat kidney stones and fever. This is the mist flower. In the wild, it starts blooming in August and can get up to 3 feet tall. But you'll see it in garden centers in the early spring. They've got it really compact and it blooms all summer. This is virgin's flower. It's a cousin to the clematis. Charles Darwin studied this plant and found as the leaf stalk grows, it revolves, making a full circle every 6 hours until it finds something to cling to. It can cause skin irritation, but it has been used in liniments to treat skin sores and itching. This is the hog peanut. It's called the wild peanut. It was eaten as food and it was a very good source of protein. This is the ironweed. It refers to the toughness of the stem. The leaves and roots were made into tea used during pregnancy and childbirth. You'll see them in the pastures in the fall. There's a lot of different sunflowers in Tennessee. This particular variety is the Jerusalem artichoke. It's a large sunflower that was cultivated by the Indians. It had a large fleshy tuber eaten much like a potato. And the word Jerusalem was thought to come from an Italian word which means toward the sun. This is lobelia. It blooms in the late summer and it's usually found near cedar trees. It's quite poisonous, but it was often used as a sedative. This is the spider lily, also called the Carolina spider lily. It's found along streams in marshy areas. They are native, but people thought they were pretty, so they just transplanted it to their homes. And as a matter of fact, Dawn's great-grandmother had the first one I ever saw, and I didn't realize it was a native plant. I thought it was something that she had bought. And I want to thank Deborah Stanfield and Charles Manning for their contribution. They sent us some great pictures of some great wildflowers. And you might be wondering if I have used any of these plants. Well, the only wild plants I've ever eaten is blackberries and poke salad. And if I get bit by a snake, am I going to send Dawn out to find some weed? No. I'm going to see Dr. Martin. Many of the medicines you see today have their roots in wild and folk remedies. And there's ongoing research into the effectiveness of some of these plants. And there's whole industries dedicated to natural cures, so be careful because, like I said, some of these plants can be toxic or even lethal because there's no legal standards that are required by law. We have on display all the references that we used, and there's a cast iron mortar and pestle in the center of the table there, which belonged to Dawn's great-grandmother, Susan Anthony Barbie Fowler, and she was a midwife. And we think it might actually have belonged to her mother, Ann Armstrong Barbie, because she was a doctor woman, and she was part Cherokee and came from South Carolina. Does anybody have any questions?
Don, how many of those pictures did you take?
I don't know, several of them, and then Deb and Charles, maybe several.
Yeah.
So you just looked and you found it. And
Jackie told me what to take.
You said yes, ma'am?
That's right, yes, dear.
I have a suggestion.
Well, they're great.
If you put together a book with those pictures and your words that you said, you could sell them like that. I'd buy the first one.
You're very kind.
I would buy the first one, absolutely. Would be a good way to raise money.
Any other questions?
The Eastern Blue Star that you mentioned, you said it was poisonous and I might have missed it. How is it poisonous?
You know, I really don't know. I'm assuming that if you ate it or a dog ate it, that it would be poisonous. We're definitely not experts on this. Everything I've told you is in those books over there. So, I'm pretty much just reciting what I've read, so as far as details, Deborah or Charles might be able to explain a little more about it.
I'm not familiar with that one. Just excellent presentation.
You know, after the cussing, that everybody cusses, and it's edible too.
Is it? I did not know that. I know Bill Mayo was telling me
It's
about
not-
plantain, right?
Yeah, oh, plantain, yeah. And, we were talking, it's so funny you present this tonight, we were talking about the senior. There's a weed called person, and it's edible, and it makes a really good, like, you know, just steam and put butter on it, that kind of dish, what they, I forgot what they call that, but anyway, at home, there's a wild wheat, and then the locals call it pussy. And I think it is the same thing, and once you put out any fertilizer and dig up a field, it would just cover that field. And I had a friend who pull it up and give it to her wild, but nobody ever ate any of it, you know, but there's so many of those wild things that you need. I would love to, I wish I had pictures
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a great program.
It really was.
Program notes, next month's program will be August the 12th. It'll be at Tennessee Ridge, their new city hall, which is on down past the dollar store on 147. And Miss Finley's going to do a program on the Scandinavian, so it'll be at 7 o'clock. Hope to have everybody there because it should be a really interesting program. Anything else I need to bring up before I close? Like I say, it was a really interesting program. Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, Donald. But yeah, have a good night.